guys, so it's officially the 30th of November, which means that NaNoWriMo is officially over, and I am so glad I managed to reach 50,000 words as of the 28th of November. I really didn't think I was going to manage it. I've been so busy this month and it's been like pulling teeth, but I eventually managed to get to 50,000 words and I'm so happy about it. I haven't finished my draft yet. Obviously, it's got a lot more to go, but at the same time, I'm still glad that I've gone this far into it and I'm just really happy, to be honest. But at the cost of that, I have to say though, is that I read absolutely bugger all this month. I read 2 books and 1 comic book and that was it. Now usually I can read more than that, but this month it just obviously didn't happen because I was focusing on getting the words down for my own novel. So I am going to do a quick wrap up of these books and then go into my December TBR. So without further ado, here's what I read in November. The first book I read was Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. Now, I had the same problem that I always have with these books, and that is that I just think they are aimed a bit too young for me, and I'm just that tad bit too old to really enjoy them. I think the storyline is brilliant, the world building is brilliant, all the characterisation is brilliant. I just can't get into it for some reason. There's just something about Percy Jackson that just has this cognitive disconnect for me. I can tell it's really well written, I can tell that it's just basically a really good children's book, but for me, I just can't get into it. That being said, I did give it 3 stars. I did think it was a really interesting and fun read for children, but I just think this series just isn't for me, basically. I also finally managed to read City of Glass, which is book 3 in the Mortal Instruments series, and I only just finished this for Time Topple. It's a chunker, and I reasonably enjoyed this one. Again, it's the love story, love triangle, will they, won't they thing just sort of isn't for me, but the world building, the action and everything else in this is really up my street. The one thing with this book though that I could not get past no matter what I did is that Jason Clary, for most of this book, believe that they are brother and sister, yet they're still in love with each other, and they occasionally make out and share a bed and things like this. And I just find that incredibly creepy. You know, like, I knew the whole time that they weren't brother and sister because obviously I've seen spoilers and everything, but it was still very creepy for me, and I found that quite difficult to get past. The rest of it I really enjoyed, but it was just that sort of element where I was like, this ain't right, you know? Like, I understand that most of the Shadowhunters are quite interrelated and everything because there aren't that many Shadowhunter families, but thinking you're brother and sister and still being quite in love with each other, even though you're trying not to be, but you can't help yourself. Really weird. Didn't like that aspect of it, but everything else I did actually really enjoy. Again, as well, I did know who Sebastian was before I started reading this, so that kind of plot twist wasn't as plot twisty for me, because I was like, oh, it's Sebastian, it's him, kind of thing. So I just was like, yeah, alright, I know what's coming here. But at the same time, even though I did know these spoilers, I did really enjoy myself. It was just the fact that I knew the spoilers and the brother and sister thing that just kind of put me off. But in the end, I did still give this a 4 stars. And then my favourite read of the entire month has to be AVX. I read this right at the beginning of the month and absolutely adored it. It wrapped up the House of M storyline so well. It was absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed myself reading this. I thought it was brilliant. I hated the character deaths because I really like those characters and I felt quite emotional watching those characters get killed off. And apart from that though, I just really enjoyed this one. It was so much fun and it wrapped up everything so well and brought everything full circle to where it was at the beginning of House of M. And I just really enjoyed it. I've now also bought Avengers Axis, which is the next one in this series, and I cannot wait to read it. And speaking of Avengers Axis, it's on my December TBR. I recently bought this. I saw it in HMV and was like, well, that is coming home with me immediately because I could not leave it on the shelves knowing that it was a sequel to AVX and everything else of the House of M storyline. I'm completely obsessed with it. And this follows the idea of the aftermath of House of M and everything that Cyclops has done, and the Avengers are still kind of fighting the X-Men, and it just sounds so interesting. As you can see on the front cover, we have all the Avengers and Deadpool. We've also got Inhumans on here, and obviously we've got loads of other fun characters, and that's Loki. I just realised that Loki's in this, right there. I didn't realise that. I'm now suddenly even more excited. But either way, I am so excited to read this one and continue on the House of M storyline and just finding out everything I can about this. I've always wanted to see the Avengers meet the X-Men, and this comic is just bringing all of my hopes and dreams alive. It's just kind of killing a whole lot of people off. But at the same time, I'm just really loving this storyline, and I cannot wait to get to this one. Next, I also want to read Skullduggery Pleasant Book 5, which is Mortal Coil. This was on my November TBR, and I was going to read it for Time Topple, but I took so long to read City of Glass that I just ran out of time, basically. So instead, this is now on my December TBR, and I cannot wait, because we've got all of this huge amount of stuff going on. We've got Darkest is coming, Valkyrie's in trouble, Skullduggery may have lost his mind a bit, and it's just absolutely brilliant. I am addicted to this series, and I cannot wait to read this one. It is a chunker, it's 575 pages, which makes me a little bit scared, but at the same time, I cannot wait to start it. And then the final non-Christmassy book on my TBR is Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve. Now, this one I've had on my TBR for most of the year, actually, ever since I bought it. Now, the reason why I've waited this long is because the film is coming out on December 8th, and so I wanted to read this book just before I went to see the adaptation. So this is top priority for the beginning of December, and I really can't wait to read it. I read Philip Reeve's Larklight as a kid and absolutely adored it, so I can't wait to see what this one's all about. It sounds like it's all about moving mechanical cities that have sort of upped and are now swallowing other cities across England, and it just sounds really sort of steampunky, sci-fi fun, and I cannot wait to read it and then see the adaptation on December 8th. Now, the first book I'm going to be reading that is Christmassy this month is going to be Terry Pratchett's The Hogfather, to no surprise to anybody. Now, this book is obviously one of my favourite Christmassy books. I read it every single year at Christmas and watch the adaptation. And for those who don't know what this is, or if you're new to my channel or whatever, this is based in the Discworld, which is Terry Pratchett's most famous sort of world. It's sort of like our world, but slightly twisted, slightly more morbid, and a lot more magical. And in this world, they don't celebrate Christmas, they celebrate Hogswatch. But this Christmas, the Hogfather, who is basically Santa, has gone missing. And if the children do not get their presents in the morning and stop believing in the Hogfather, the sun will not rise in the morning. So what happens is that Death, as in the guy with the scythe and the cloak and everything, dresses up as the Hogfather and goes around delivering all the presents. And it is hilarious. It's so fun. I thoroughly enjoy this book every single year. I love the adaptation as well. It's got some of my favourite quotes from books of all time in it, and it's just absolutely brilliant. It's one of my absolute favourites, and it always makes me happy at this time of year. I'm never usually that happy this time of year, but this one just brings me a hell of a lot of joy, and I cannot wait to get to it. My second annual Christmas read is going to be Tom Fletcher's The Christmasaurus. Now, this is a very new tradition for me, because this is a new Christmas book. Now, this one is all about the Christmasaurus, as you can see here, and William Trundle, who is a young wheelchair user who is gifted the Christmasaurus one Christmas because he is obsessed with dinosaurs, and he also just wants a friend. And while I am the worst, grinchiest human being you have ever met in your life, this book does have a special place in my heart. Admittedly, I am quite biased because I am a major McFly fan, and Tom, the writer, is in McFly and is also my favourite member of McFly, but at the same time, I still thoroughly enjoy this book. I do think it's very magical, and also I really like the original songs that go with it, so I can't help but want to read it again this year. And the final Christmassy novel I'm going to read is 12 Angels Weeping, which is a Doctor Who mini omnibus story collection. And this is all about 12 different villains from Doctor Who, including Weeping Angels and Daleks and stuff. And it's sort of told in the way of 12 Days of Christmas. And while I am the grinchiest person ever, I am a huge Whovian, if you couldn't tell by all the other Doctor Who books I've read recently. But especially this one because I haven't read this one yet. It's all about Doctor Who villains. I'm a huge fan of the Doctor Who villains, especially Daleks, Cybermen, Weeping Angels, and all of those ones. I absolutely love them, and this one just sounds like a great replacement for the Doctor Who Christmas special, which has now been moved to New Year's Day, which I'm not happy about, but we'll deal with. But either way, this is going to be my Christmas Doctor Who sort of fix, because I'm not getting a Christmas special this year, and I cannot wait to read this one. It sounds so interesting, and also on the back it says, "And whatever you do, don't blink." And that is possibly one of my favourite quotes from Doctor Who ever. So I'm really excited to read this. I'm excited to see what it does with the Weeping Angels and all the other villains, and how it all ties into Christmas. And I'm just very, very excited, basically, to read this one. And that's all the books that I either read in November or I'm going to read in December. Hopefully I'm actually going to get through all of these books. It's currently not looking likely, because they're all quite chunkers, quite frankly. And I'm scared of that, but I'm hoping I'm going to get through it. I'm determined to get through it, because they're the last books on my December list, because I've had this big 2018 list of books to read, and these are the last 6 on there, and if I don't get to them, I'm going to be very, very angry with myself. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below with how you did in NaNoWriMo, what you read this month, and what you're reading next month. And I'll also leave a link down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here with a link to my previous video. But until next time, guys, bye!